in today's episode, we're gonna do something called Chicken Cordon Bleu, but with a twist. I actually put it into a casserole instead of breading it and frying it. The first time I made Chicken Cordon Bleu, it was an epic fail. The chicken was dry on the outside, raw in the middle, and there was no cheese in sight. So I decided, why can't I just take the ingredients and just put them in a different order? Should come out with the same result. So that's what I did, and that's the recipe we're gonna be making today. So you can see we're gonna start with a whole stick of butter. To that, we've got flavored breadcrumbs. We're gonna take our chicken breast and thinly slice them. Here you've got two options. You can do the chicken breast yourself, or you can buy chicken breast already cut, thin cutlets. And then we're gonna slice up our cheese. I'm gonna make a cheese sauce to go on top of this, so I buy the bigger brick of cheese. If not, you can always just buy the sliced cheese ready to go. And then to it, we like Black Forest ham. So I just get it from the deli, regular sliced, and I layer it all together. We have done it with leftover honey ham too. That was excellent. So those are the ingredients for today's recipe. So let's get started. So as to not contaminate our cooking board, we're gonna start by cutting up the cheese and then setting that aside. So what I'm gonna do is I have a 16-ounce brick of Swiss cheese, which is 1 pound. I'm going to cut it in half. Put half aside for now, and that will go into our cheese sauce later. And with this, I'm just going to cut pretty good sized slices to go across the chicken and the ham. Now we're gonna move on and start cutletting up the chicken. So I have 5 juicy breasts here. So you take it out. I like to flip it over immediately, and I start by removing some of the gristly pieces. And then I flip it back over and just inspect along the edge. Usually they have a little bit of excess fat, and we really, in this case, don't need it. All right, and there you go. This one is a pretty good size breast, so I'm actually gonna see if I can get 3 cutlets out of it instead of just 2. So again, I flip it over, hold my hand on it to put down a little bit of pressure. Hold on. To put down a little bit of pressure, and then saw back and forth. And you can see that you get a nice even cut. And again. But again, if this was on the thinner side and you could only get 2, that's fine too. 2 and 3. So you can see they're on the thinner side, but this way they'll now cook evenly. Also, another thing I like to do is I like to keep the top pieces on the top. I think it cooks better, and for display purposes as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut up the other 4 breasts of chicken and set those aside. Okay, so now as you can see, we finished cutting up all the chicken, making that nice cutlets. I put the bottom pieces on this side and the top pieces here so that I could be aware as we start to build. I have my cut up cheese right here. I have the ham from the deli right here. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna set these aside for now, and we're gonna work on the breadcrumb and butter base and also top for the recipe. So I'm just gonna slide these aside. And here we go. So as mentioned before, I take out an entire stick of butter. I know it seems like a lot, but it tastes good. So we're gonna melt our butter. And then after that, we're gonna pour it back into our Pyrex. because we're going to be mixing it with our breadcrumbs till it gets to be a crumbly, almost like a graham cracker and butter consistency if you were making a shell, because you want that nice crisp outer layer that you would have gotten on a chicken cordon bleu. So you have two options. You can either melt the butter on a stove in a pan, or you can microwave it as well. Okay, so our butter has now become completely melted. So I'm going to take it out of the pot and putting it back into, today I'm just going to be using my large measuring cup as a mixing bowl so that you can get a good view of those breadcrumbs and butter together. Alright, so here we go. So we're going to start 1 cup at a time, incorporating the breadcrumbs into the melted butter. What I'm doing here is I'm also breaking up the butter pieces a little bit too, so that it can get incorporated into those breadcrumbs. So after that has been done, I'm gonna go ahead and start to add a 2nd cup and see if I need the whole 2nd cup, or I think that's good enough. I don't wanna over put breadcrumbs in there because then it's too dry, and then I don't want a soupy mess, buttery mess on the bottom or the top. So I'm gonna just go with that. So in total, we did about 1 3/4 cups. But you can definitely do whatever you like for a ratio. Don't forget, this is gonna go on the bottom of the casserole and on the top. So I try and do it in one batch so that I'm not doing it again at the end. All right, so now we're gonna start assembling. So now we're gonna get to start assembling. So even though there's a butter in the breadcrumbs, I still go ahead and recommend a nice coating of a cooking spray on the bottom. Nothing worse than having some stuck food that you can't get out and eat. So we are going to take our breadcrumb mixture and put approximately half on the bottom. So in this case, it's about 2 good spoonfuls, 2 1/4. So then you gently work it out to the sides. Do a little shimmy shake, and then fill in the holes as needed. That looks good to me. Should we still have enough for the top? We are good. So now we're going to move over to the 2nd step. Now with this, I'm going to have 1 hand that gets dirty with the chicken and 1 hand that stays clean with the ham and the cheese, because you don't want to cross-contaminate. So now we're going to start with those bottom pieces of chicken, and you're going to just lay them out. Remember Tetris as a kid? You want to make sure that all the lovely holes are filled. I also like to put the thicker cutlets to the outside so that they cook better. This one, like I mentioned, was a Black Forest ham, but you can certainly use a honey ham, domestic ham. We just like personally in our family, we like the flavor of Black Forest. All right, and now we're going to move on to the Swiss cheese. Now, if your family does not like Swiss cheese, you can use a nice Fontina, which is a nice melting cheese. And like I said, you can get it already pre-sliced. Our family just seems to like it better when I slice it up. So there we go. So our next step is going to be, I can either do two things. I have 4 slices of ham left. I can use it and just put it on top to add another layer of yummy ham, or I can start with the chicken. So in this instance, I'm just gonna use up the ham. Just like that. All right, now we're gonna do the chicken. With the chicken, I can just lay on the top. It doesn't have to go all the way to the edges like it did on the bottom. The bottom forms a nice home for it all. But the top, it's fine. All right, so I'm gonna go wash my hands and I'll be right back. All right, so now what we're going to do is start to spread those lovely breadcrumbs over the top. I like to give it a nice dusting, and then I come back and make sure the coverage is good. And of course, cooking is partially messy. And there you go. It's all put together. So now our casserole is ready to either go in the oven, go in the freezer, or go in the fridge to be cooked at a later time. I've made this for family members. I've made them for dinner parties. So don't be afraid to go ahead and make a double batch so that you can have it on hand when you need. So we're gonna go ahead and stick it in a 375-degree oven for 45 minutes.
Ready, 3, 2, 1, go.
And now we have the finished product. So what we did was we had cooked it for 45 minutes at 375. We took our instant read thermometer and checked the temperature to see. It was still in the 160s and chicken needs to be at 175. So what I did is I put it back in for another 10 minutes and I put the temperature up to 425. And what that did is it also gave it a nice brown crust on the top. So now we're good at 175. So this is how we like to plate. In our family, we fight over the corner pieces. So, cut a nice square. So there you have it. You have a nice chicken cordon bleu that is not raw in the middle and plenty of ooey gooey cheese and not overcooked chicken. And as mentioned, we pair ours with some microwaved rice pilaf. Nice heaping teaspoons of that. And then to round it out, to chase around the plate, is some nice, sweet, yummy peas. The cheese sauce. So, spin a little bit over the chicken. And that's it. So, cut a little corner piece off. So now I've cut a little corner piece off. I take a little bit of that cheese sauce, smear it on top. It's gonna be hot. That's really good. Like I said, chicken's not dried out at all. That Black Forest ham has a little bit of a smoky flavor, so it's nice. Get the creaminess of the Swiss, and then we'll enjoy the rice and peas to go along with it. So thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you next week. If you've enjoyed today's video, give us a like and also subscribe, and you'll see new videos from me hopefully next week.